Storytime with Stone. The Whistle by Benjamin Franklin. To Madame Briand. I received my dear friend's 2 letters, one for Wednesday and one for Saturday. This is again Wednesday. I do not deserve one for today because I have not answered the former. But insolent as I am and averse to writing, the fear of having no more of your pleasing epistles, if I do not contribute to the correspondence, obliges me to take up my fucking pen. And as Mr. B has kindly sent me word that he sets out tomorrow to see you, instead of spending this Wednesday evening, as I have done, its namesakes in your delightful company, I sit down to spend it in thinking of you, in writing to you, and in reading over and over again your letters. I am charmed with your description of paradise, and with your plan of living there. And I approve much of your conclusion that in the meantime, we should draw all the good we can from this fucking world, and in my opinion, we might all draw more good from it than we do, and suffer less evil, if we would take care not to give too much for fucking whistles. For to me, it seems that most of the unhappy people we meet have become so by neglect of that fucking caution. You ask what I mean? Well, you love stories and will excuse me for telling one of myself. When I was a child of 7 years old, my friends on a holiday filled my pocket with coppers. I went directly to a shop where they sold toys for children, and being charmed with the sound of a whistle that I met by the way in the hands of another boy, I voluntarily offered and gave all my money for one. I then came home and went whistling all over the house, much pleased with my whistle, but disturbing all the fucking family. My brothers and sisters and cousins, understanding the bargain I had made, told me I'd given 4 times as much for it as it was worth, but me in mind what good things I might have bought with the rest of the money, and laughed at me so much for my folly that I cried a bit with vexation, and the reflection gave me more chagrin than the whistle gave me pleasure. This, however, was afterwards a use to me, the impression continuing on my mind, so that often, when I was tempted to buy some unnecessary thing, I said to myself, don't give too much for the whistle, and I saved my money. As I grew up, came into the world and observed the actions of men, I thought I met with many, very many who gave too much for the whistle. When I saw one too ambitious of court favour, sacrificing his time in attendance on levees, his repose, his liberty, his virtue, and perhaps his friends to attain it, I have said to myself, this man gives too much for his fucking whistle. When I saw another fond of popularity, constantly employing himself in political bustles and neglecting his own affairs and ruining them by the neglect, he pays indeed, said I. Too much for his fucking whistle as well. If I knew a miser who gave up every kind of comfortable living, all the pleasure of doing good to others, all the esteem of his fellow citizens, and the joys of benevolent friendship for the sake of accumulating wealth. Poor man, said I, you pay too much for your whistle. When I met with a man of pleasure, sacrificing every laudable improvement of the mind or his fortune to mere corporeal sensations and ruining his health in their pursuit. Mistaken man, said I. You are providing pain for yourself instead of pleasure. You give too much for your fucking whistle, buddy. If I see one fond of appearance or fine clothes, fine houses, fine furniture, fine equipage all above his fortune, for which he contracts debts and ends his career in a fucking prison, Alas, say I, he has paid dear, very dear for his fucking whistle. When I see a beautiful, sweet-tempered girl married to an ill-natured brute of a husband, what a pity, say I, that she should pay so much for a whistle. In short, I conceive that a great part of the miseries of mankind are brought upon them by the false estimates they have made of the value of things, and by giving their too much for their whistles. Yet I ought to have charity for these unhappy people, when I consider that with all this wisdom of which I am boasting, there are certain things in the world so tempting, for example, the apples of King John, which happily are not to be bought, for if they were put for sale by auction, I might very easily be led to ruin myself in the purchase and find that I had once more given too much for the whistle as well. Well, adieu, my dear friend, and believe me, ever yours very sincerely, and with unalterable affection, Benjamin Franklin. The end. So the moral of this story is don't pay too much for your fucking whistles. Alright? Don't fucking do it. Listen to old Ben here. Right, there we go, folks. Story time with Stone.